Welcome to the Standout Women podcast. I'm your host, Michelle B. Griffin, aka the brand therapist and founder of Standout Women Media. As an author, speaker, and certified personal brand and PR strategist, I'm here to empower and elevate women just like you to get visible, build your personal brand, and own your lane as a visible brand authority and thought leader in your space. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's show. Welcome to the Standout Women Show, and welcome today's guest, who's all about helping us get visible, especially on LinkedIn with live stream. So I want to welcome to the show for the second time, my friend and LinkedIn live stream expert, Jillian Whitney.
Woo! I'm excited to be here. This is so fun. And I love lives because anything can and will happen on a live, and you learn to roll with it. And that's actually the fun part of going live. So we'll talk about that too.
The reason why I want to bring you on today, because we've talked about LinkedIn live stream video in our past time together, but you have a new book. Yay. Yes. Third book. I have my digital copy here. LinkedIn Live Guest Mastery. I love the subtitle. Build your brand and attract more clients.
I think you whispered that into my brain because I thought of you when I wrote that.
I felt it. I really did. And I'd even say, and even grow more opportunities because, this is your longest book to date. This is your third book.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
good.
I even want to say third book in a year, right? Like you're pumping these out. So amazing. So this one I was telling her over the weekend, I said, oh my goodness, it's so good. I just finished it. But I really want to play up the angle of how it really skyrockets your visibility, and either from hosting one, but the thing is really from guesting. And, when I do publicity training and coaching for my clients, I say publicity PR goes hand in hand with personal branding, right? But you kind of need to stair step your courage, your confidence, your context, your message. And, podcasting and LinkedIn live streamings are a wonderful way to get started. And let's talk about that today. You wrote this book because you saw a real need out there.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it came out of our conversation last year. It began to put sort of like those little ideas in my head, because the thing people talk about, what's the easiest way to get started with LinkedIn Live? And it's really not being a host, because I know every time I sit down, and you're a host, so you know this, I'm preaching to the choir with you, but I'm thinking of your audience, and people get this idea of, oh yes, I'd like to have a show, but you're then becoming Oprah Winfrey, but you don't have Oprah Winfrey's like crew. So you're doing everything. You're learning how to use the tech, which sometimes does not behave. You're learning how to use software. You've got to schedule it. You've got to promote it. You have to wear a lot of hats. And I was thinking, how can this be easier? Because I'm all about easy peasy. And being a guest, you just show up and you shine your light. And, there's things you have to do to, of course, prepare to show up. It's not just called winging it, but it's a lot easier. And it's that first step, because better you be the guest on Oprah Winfrey and then decide, I want to be an Oprah too. And then that can be your 2.0, where you decide, I want to have my own show.
And, honestly, some people that it may not even be cracked up for them, their personality, their time, their industry. So, we're going to dive right into this and all the nuggets you shared in this book and some high level stuff. But I mean, you can pretty much make a career out of being a LinkedIn Live guest, a podcast guest, all these ways to really skyrocket that visibility, the credibility, and build that authority. And you talk about this all throughout the book. One of the things, before I ahead of myself, I really love how you gave those suggestions. Like you've already kind of written the templates on how to reach out, how to even guest, and all the things. Not only just like empower people, but as I say, like really educate them with some really actionable stuff. But that's you. That's your brand. Easy Jillian. So let's get in real high level. Someone's like, okay, Michelle, Jillian, tell me how to do this. What's the best first step to take?
Well, I think it's always begin with the end in mind for anything that you're doing. So really figure out what you want to accomplish. And, visibility can be good, but it can also be not so good. So you have to start with that perspective of, how do I want to be visible? In what way do I want to be visible? And who do I want to be visible to? And who do I want to be visible with? Because every step of this is so important. And I often say, it's okay to say no to the show, that not every single show is going to be a right fit for you. And people will, isn't visibility? No, not necessarily, because you have to remember with every single guest appearance, whether you're talking about a LinkedIn Live or a podcast, your credibility, your reputation is on the show. So if you pick a show that's a bad fit because maybe you don't have alignment of values with the host, or the audience isn't right, there's so many reasons why a show might not be a good fit for you, that you have to come at it and be very strategic and choose the right shows. And I have said no to the show.
That's so reassuring. That goes back to the way I teach, my process is really building that foundation. And you touch upon that in the book, which is so good at kind of really knowing who you are, what you want to be known for, your values, and aligning, because you're sitting there talking, and even more so than a podcast, because these are videos, and so you cannot hide the stuff in your face when someone is just going off on a tangent that maybe you don't believe in, know about, all the things. So strategic and intentional is a excellent way to start. And there's so many shows out there. Do you have any kind of data on how many LinkedIn Live shows? Is there
I wish I did. I wish I did.
Yes.
I remember Gabe Leal used to do a LinkedIn Live. It was almost like a TV guide of the LinkedIn Lives. I wish he would do it again. It was wonderful. But I remember when I first saw that, and it was like, wow, there's way more than I knew before. But, a tip is, if you just go to LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn.com, and you look at events, you'll begin to see audio events and LinkedIn Live events. And I kind of think it's kind of like, when you're a kid and you look for red Volkswagen Beetles, it's like you think about it and then you begin to see them. I think that if you just start to say, I'm looking for LinkedIn Lives that I could be a guest on, you will all of a sudden, they'll just appear. You're going to see them. They're just going to be coming at you. And it might be scrolling through the feed. It might be going through, we all have our filters on LinkedIn where we're looking at certain creators. And you might say, wow, Michelle has a show, or Michelle was a guest on a show. So that's what you want to do, is look at shows that you might know of the host. Maybe you don't know them personally, but you know of them, or shows that your colleagues, the people that you follow on LinkedIn that you admire, what are the shows they're on? Because that's way you get that foot in the door, because you don't want to, pick a real estate one and you're talking about, I don't know,
healthcare or something.
Yes.
Totally off.
It's way off. So you want to make sure that you're kind of at least going in that, right range to begin with.
That's a great tip. And I need to find that link, because LinkedIn keeps changing everything. It's kind of hard to find on that side thing. They were hidden in events. But even if you can go into other people's on their profile, that, tab thing where it has events, and you just have to do your homework. You've got to do your homework. First, you got to know what you want to be known for, who you align with, the message that you want to get out there, and make sure that show is really sticking with that. And then find these people. I think that might be the hardest thing these days with LinkedIn, but finding the shows. And I would even probably suggest making some kind of, like you do, a media list, put it in a database or something that you can track all your stuff. This is really just treating it like podcast pitching in the best way possible.
And find out what resonates for you. I attend LinkedIn Live events. It's not just about me being the host or me being the guest. I go to other people's shows to watch and network with other people. And that's where I'll sometimes get a feel for, well, that would be a really good show for me, so you begin to kind of get those feelers and go to someone like you, Michelle. I'll just give everybody a tip here. Go to Michelle's media page. It's her speaking page on her website, and you can see all the different shows that Michelle's been on. Go to my YouTube channel. I have all my guest appearances. Don't worry so much about watching my appearances. Look at the shows that I've been on, because you might say, ooh, that would be good for me. So again, just do your homework.
Yeah, looking for aligned people, aligned shows, and they're out there. And I would do the homework, make a list, because
Yes.
we're being intentional, foundational, and strategic about this, right? That's how we do it. So, absolutely, we know who we are, what we want to stand for, and what we want to talk about. Now we want to know, and we find out the shows that really align for us. Let's talk about the next step because you walk everyone really detailed, but today's all about high level, so we can really help people take that first step.
So I think the next step is find the right shows and then begin to, first of all, it's always kind of like, make sure your own foundation is right. So you want to make sure that you're ready to have the host say yes, which means that you want to get all of those ducks in a row before making that application. So a lot of people like you have an actual application where it's like, Google Doc or something where, tell me what you would want to talk about. Give me some ideas. What are your key topics? What's your experience? Why do you want to be on my show? All those different things. What are your social links? So that way the host can easily figure out, okay, is this person a good fit or not? And it's never, never a personal, I don't like that person. It's about a good fit. And that works both ways because it might not be good for the host and it might not be good for you. So I think that's really important. But having that foundation of, if I was to apply to Michelle's show today, do I have my ducks in a row that I could fill out that application form? And a lot of times that's having a speaker bio. Do you have a photo that you want to show? I just use my LinkedIn one because I want to be seen the same way everywhere. But other people have beautiful ones that are like professional photographers, with different layouts. Maybe it's them talking on the stage, all sorts of different things. What's your experience? What are some shows that they could look at? Do you have a sizzle reel or a demo reel that somebody could quickly just scroll through or listen to and say, yes, she knows what she's talking about. She's entertaining. I like her. I like the way that she speaks. I like her cadence, her volume. Nobody wants to get on and, like a million sort of and so yes. You'd be like,
No, I want to make sure you're camera ready because I have interviewed people in the past when, maybe written or in their posts are dynamic, and nothing personal. It's just they fall kind of flat. And I think it's nothing saying you have to be charismatic. It's just, really just kind of flowing. I think some people, they also need to maybe practice it because if it's your first time, you could maybe even feel a little, deer in the headlights and it just people like stage fright, really, truly.
yeah.
And we can talk about some ways to counter that because I truly believe everyone can, deliver a message. It's just some people, we might have to work a little harder and practice anything, right? So I love that. I love getting really clear. And the same, I know your LinkedIn Live show is a lot like mine where we put the shows on our podcast. So I know you are probably getting pitched for your podcast as well. You see that a lot and a lot of bad pitches, right? A lot of bad pitches.
Yes. And I don't like the agency pitches. And I understand the need for agencies. I know people love to have it where it's like, okay, I'm just going to outsource it. You're just going to go find me a bunch of spots that I can be in. But the thing is agencies always they don't do their homework. They're just, kind of praying and spraying. Is that the expression? Where
Yes.
they're just shooting out blanket emails. And I can tell they haven't even seen my show because they'll send me an email that's something along the lines of, we love your podcast and I'd like to pitch my podcast guest. And that's like, I'll write them back and say, mine's a LinkedIn Live show. So unless you're ready to be on a live, this is not the same as a recorded audio podcast.
Or they pitch someone that has absolutely no, like we said earlier, absolutely no relevance to your show or their message. And it's really all about us. And just a newsflash, in about 2 weeks on the LinkedIn Branding Show, we have an entire podcast guesting show, do's and don'ts, Michelle and I, and what we see. And we did shout you out because this is a very similar track. What I told you when I said, hey, can we come promote your book? This is so similar to podcast guesting. And I think we even had this initial conversation a long time ago, which, implored you to write the book, which is so good, so helpful. So yeah, so making sure you fit, knowing that you are ready to be on camera. It's so good to get the message out, but we want to make sure we are ready, and we all can be ready. I'm not saying we can't be, just do a little bit of homework. So
and even if you haven't done a live, even if you've just done some videos, I've had a lot of newbies. I've had, first time live people, and they've actually come and brought so much excitement and enthusiasm, but they were at least comfortable on video. And I could tell from their video clips that this is a person, they know how to look at the camera, they smile, they have good energy. So it's not that you have to be this polished, oh, you've been on 6 shows and NBC and Good Morning America. That's not necessarily true, but you do want to have some sort of video presence and have that feel.
Yeah. So not be a deer in the headlights. Like my guest in 2 weeks, Susan Sabravo, who was a former TV reporter and is now a social media strategist. And she helps people be confident on camera. So she's going to show up and tell us exactly how to do that. So I can't wait. This would be a perfect part 2 to today, because we can all learn. It's a muscle. We can all strengthen it and get it out there, because we all have a message. You and I both believe we all have a message that needs to be out there. And so you and I, in our respective ways, are helping people do that. So now that we have all that foundation set, you really dive in the book step by step, which if you haven't gotten this book yet, go straight to Amazon. We'll put a link in the show notes on how to go get it. Just follow everything you say and you will get on LinkedIn live shows. You dive into some areas that people really need to pay attention to, some of the myths and some of the mistakes. So let's high level kind of cover those.
The most important thing is, you had spoken a moment ago, Michelle, about your message. And I think you have to have clarity about what that message is in terms of your brand. What again, going back to the begin, the end in mind, what are you trying to accomplish with your show? You want to be seen as a thought leader. Now, I could speak on a million different topics, but what's relevant to what I do as a business is probably the most important. Yes, I want to bring in personal stories, but I don't necessarily want to tell you about, when I was picking weeds at 16 or something like that, because it has nothing to do with anything. So you really have to have that clarity on what is your message. And it can't be about me. It has to be about what's of value, so that I come to your show and I come with what are the tidbits that I can tell people that help them actually get something out of this discussion today. So I think that's really important. And that's narrowing down your message to those bullets of what are my key topics and what's the appropriate topic for this particular show. So if I'm speaking with maybe a career coach, I want to talk about LinkedIn Live and recorded video in the job search space. So I'm not going to start talking about entrepreneurs. So it's, again, always taking your message and then wrapping it within the appropriateness and the relevance for the audience.
That is perfect, because I've been on many shows talking about, personal branding for entrepreneurs or in the career space. Even though I'm mostly entrepreneurs now, it's basically different lens you're seeing it, but you have the same core expertise and message and talking points. I always like to say, you've probably heard me say this, specificity sells and clarity compels. So when I know you're very specific on something, that's going to put the antenna up. Oh, we need to get Jillian to talk about LinkedIn live streams. We need to get Michelle to talk about personal branding and PR. So these are the things that the more you drive in that message and narrow lane it, the more you're known for it. And people have recall on it. They can refer you, recommend you, all the things. The more narrow lane you get. And then the beautiful thing, as you just said, you can just, mix and match it, so to speak, with different sister areas, if you will, parallel areas that it still applies. So the tighter your message, and you talk about that in the book. So check on that. So glad you wrote this book. It was so needed.
Hopefully that brings a better guest to you in terms of just making your job easier. Somebody showing up and they've done all their homework. Literally in the book, I actually say homework for this chapter is, I feel like a bossy teacher telling people what the homework is, but I wanted people to kind of, okay, now do some action. It's not just about consuming. It's about that action. And always, this is, I think, one of the most important things, and I hope I brought this into the book, is why me? Why am I, what's my unique perspective? So for instance, I'm the easy peasy lady. That's my watchwords for everything. So when I talk about doing LinkedIn Lives in a home studio, I'm not going to tell you about having mission control with 7 monitors and, all these different things. I use a laptop, but that's my twist on it. And you could have a guest next week and that person has they do home studios for live people, and that's their business because that's where they shine. So always kind of take it back to your unique human, perspective. Why me? What's my special sauce to coming to this?
That's how you're owning your lane. Yes. Everything's easy peasy, which, you're narrow laned into video, but now you can easy peasy it out to other areas now that you're known. And we've talked about that. If anything, get really clear and honed in on your message because it's going to really skyrocket you on this visibility thing. So once you're accepted, let's just talk about some key level things because you dove in and talked about some good tips about getting the video, sharing it, expediting it, sharing it for the host, for you. Let's talk about some of those high level things that sometimes people, even those that probably guessed, aren't maybe doing that right now.
So many people are a LinkedIn Live guest and they think they're one and done. So the show is over and they say, thank you, and off they go. And they don't realize that, number one, you really want to form a partnership with the host. And as a way to thank them, what can you do to repurpose this? So whether we're talking about video clips, whether you're talking about a post where all you do is just takeaways of when I was on the show, we discussed this and this and this. These things help promote the live. And you're all going to come at your different comfort level. Some of us are writers. We're going to write an article and maybe we can embed some of the snippets. Others of us, we might take a whole reel and put them together and take them off to YouTube or Instagram or whatever. So be in partnership with the host and don't just leave it all on them to, okay, thanks, market this for me and I'll see you and hopefully you'll have me on in another year. It's it's teamwork. Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Yes, absolutely. I like to say these video shows, even if you're the guest or the host, they're the top of the content food chain. And you broke that up well, even gave some great tools that I love using, Opus, Otter.ai to help you, because I'll be honest, I'm guilty of that too. I need to take more of my shows, the audio and visual, and make it blogs for SEO on my website. And that's a new project I'll be having someone work on for me. But that's one of the things that I've overlooked, just being so busy. But that is certainly a way to be found. Even putting them in LinkedIn articles, the more and more I research, Jillian, the more and more these LinkedIn articles are coming up top of mind. So you could take your topic, boil out the best parts and make it an article, tag the host, and you both win. I almost think that could be another book in itself. There was so much jam-packed in that part. Maybe that's number 4 book for you, Jillian.
Yeah. Speaking of books, the other thing is that you can take these LinkedIn Live appearances, and when you're a guest, you're talking about your stuff. Like when we're the host, we're sort of interviewing. So sometimes we're talking about ourselves, but a lot of times we're kind of keeping that conversation going and it's wrapped within our expertise as well. But when you're the guest, it's like you have this content that you might begin to see patterns and themes. And I know that's what I did. I saw patterns and themes with being on shows with career coaches. And I went, what could I do with this? And I took about 5 LinkedIn Lives and I kind of jumbled them all together. And I made a book about doing video for in your job search. So you might be just going, you know what? I did all these lives on a particular topic. Why can't I bring that together and turn that into a book? Which again, visibility, credibility, and also, paying it forward by taking that knowledge out there.
Yeah, visibility, credibility equals authority is my formula for that. But no, you absolutely do that. And this whole year, as I announced Own Your Lane book, I think I officially announced it February 1st, but I was on LinkedIn Lives and I was starting to really season in the Own Your Lane concept. And so, in fact, I need to reach out to one more host that she forgot to send me the stuff because I was like, I'm saying great stuff. And that's the thing. When you're the guest, you actually have more talk time. And you're talking, you and I are both audio writers. You say that in the book, or you said it somewhere else, that I know you write your book. That's my brain fires faster on audio. So you can take this to write your book that you're, planning to write, or outline it and then hit some shows, and you're doing double publicity and writing at the same time. So we could
Exactly.
go on and on about how incredible LinkedIn Live shows. I started my first one in June 2021. And then I kept them up, and I want to give you full props, because I think, how many years in a row has it been, or how many episodes? You're blowing me away.
I'm coming up to my 200th and I'm coming up to 3 years. Every week I keep showing up. And, now I'm thinking about doing some changes, because I think we do that. We evolve and we change, and we, you own your lane, but also too, sometimes you want to go in a different direction with your lane.
Absolutely. We're evolving as humans. You get more clarity by going out there. And that's exactly what I preach and teach. And, I've done that too. My shows have come on, and then I've tested Clubhouse and audio, but I seem to really always come back to the energy of LinkedIn Live shows, either as a host, and also I absolutely love guesting on them. I don't know why. I think it's the energy in the moment. It's much unlike just a regular podcast recording. It's a tremendous way to share your message and grow your visibility, build that brand and authority. I just want to highly recommend, we'll put a link in the show notes in the comments. If you have not checked out this book, you're interested in really ramping up your publicity, your visibility, even as authors. You and I work with authors. If you have a book, new book, or even a book that, I always say, the baby is born, the book baby, it doesn't stop here. These LinkedIn live streams are a wonderful way to get in front of the right audiences. And again, as we've said here, so much content. So Jillian, for those who want to get started guesting on LinkedIn live streams, what would you say is your first that you didn't cover already? What would you suggest people do?
The first one would really just be finding the right shows for you, and just setting that intention. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I've always found, write it down, make it happen. So make that commitment that I would like. I literally ask, I know this is woo woo, but ask the universe, I want to do this. I want to do a LinkedIn Live, because when we set that intention, miracles happen. Things will come to you, and you'll begin to say, I didn't even see this. When we start looking for things, it's kind of going back to the red Volkswagen. We see it out there. So make that intention, and also to believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing. It's not been said by everyone, because it hasn't been said by you. And your competitors, your competition, they're out there. They're doing podcasts and LinkedIn Live. It's time for you to be seen. So let your light shine. Believe that you can do it. Find the right host that will be warm and friendly and help you. And just, if you need help, you got someone here that can coach you and get you through this. But anybody can do this. Believe in yourself. You need to get that message out there.
So well said. You and I are so aligned on everything, and that's why I close every show with put yourself out there, because it truly is. And we've walked you through today. So where can others find more about you, Jillian?
LinkedIn. That's my number one place. Go to LinkedIn, Jillian Whitney. You can't miss me. Otherwise, videoeasypeasy.com. You can't miss that website. It's just so darn easy. And you can find me there as well. But that's the best way to just meet me on LinkedIn. And if you tell me you saw me in this show, I will connect with you. So
awesome. Please. Yeah. I always love context when we introduce people. You don't just walk up blindly, right? Just context. So you can start conversations. And then I'm sure your books are linked to your profile and your website and all the places. And you can go check out Jillian Whitney books, as in plural, because you're like not even a year into it.
That's
She's
all
got
for
3
today.
books. You are on
In the
fire.
meantime,
I'm sure
are you ready
will continue
to grow
to add to
your
that
visibility?
But thank you so
personal
much
brand,
again
and
for
thought
being
leadership?
an amazing guest on
Then
the show,
head on
sharing
over
your
to
wisdom and your empathy and just your empowerment to get out there on video. We truly appreciate it.
And until next time,
I'm so glad I was here.
thanks for
Thank you,
listening.
Michelle.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Until next time, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a business to grow, and people to impact. I'll catch you next time. Take care.